Uh-oh, the funniest movie ever is back, but the pod's been possessed. Ooh, hold on to your handbooks for the recently deceased, because we have a very spooky bonus episode for you. Today, we're talking Beetlejuice. But first, Rip, how the heck are you? What's new? And what have you been watching?
I gotta say, I really like the ooh,
it's haunted.
Please write in and tell us who did it better. I want to talk about the pod.
See, I wanted to do a Dracula one, but
I was Dracula from Dracula 2. For real, let's talk shop because this is a spooky bonus episode. And it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Been a while.
Well, maybe not for listeners, but for us, because the pod has dropped a couple weeks ago.
That's true.
Thank you for everybody for listening. Really, really appreciate that.
Was it a while? Who knows? Time is a social concept.
Yeah,
construct.
This
social
might come
construct.
This might come out on a weekend. Might come out on who knows? It might come out after the next episode. We have no idea.
All right. As a refresher for new listeners, our podcast is broken into seasons. Each season will have 12 episodes. At the end of the season, we are going to assign each movie a number from 1 to 12, 1 being the best, 12 being the worst. For our bracketologists out there, these are called seeds. Once we have ranked our movies 1 to 12, they will face off in a bracket-style elimination tournament until we have crowned a Season 1 champion.
Love it.
So, this is one of 2 spooky bonus episodes.
Yep.
Later, provided we make it to Christmas, we will do 2 jolly, we'll workshop that, 2 jolly episodes. However, note only 1 of each will make it into the bracket.
Yeah. We're going to kind of, at the end of these bonus episodes, we're going to decide which one of the movies from the bonus category deserves to be in our bracket for our season champion.
Perfect.
Yes, we nailed that, right?
I think so. Yeah, it's funny because now
that should just be the trailer.
Since you did a spooky voice, all I want to do is spooky voices now to transition.
Okay, so let's hit the ground running. Let's catch up. It's been a while. I think I asked you earlier. I didn't realize you were going to do the segue right off the top, but I like that you did. But yeah, how are you? What's new? What are you watching? Tell me.
I really like that. I asked you that one time.
Yeah.
Many weeks ago or many days ago. Who
Could
knows?
have been years.
Nobody knows. What you been up to? And you just insulted me. This time I did not answer your question. However, I had reason not to. What I'm trying to say is I'm obviously the better friend.
No, see, I've told you this before. If you go back and listen to the tape, you get mad at me for saying that you asked 3 questions and I didn't answer any of them. You actually asked 1 question and I answered it.
I'm never going to go back and watch
you.
the tapes. I'm like Leo with our podcast. No notes.
No notes.
What am I up to? What have I been watching? I have been watching, this is probably like the nerdiest thing about me, Vox Machina.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's back. We're on season 3 for unnerds, like I like to refer to as myself. It's a D&D show, right?
Yeah, so it's, if you know Critical Role, they're like a group of voice actors who have been running a D&D campaign for ages, and they turned one of their very first campaigns into an animated series.
Yeah, so I'm really enjoying that. And like my favorite thing about it is I kind of forget it exists.
Yeah.
Which I like to think is because I'm not a huge dork, even though like I kind of am.
Stop denying, man. You are. You are one of us.
But it's just like, tell me if you have like one of these shows, you know, where it's like when you open your closet and you're like, oh shit, like I own this like really nice cardigan. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, I haven't worn it in a while. This is exciting. So like the odd time when, you know, my partner falls asleep, I'll just be like flipping through like things that I'm allowed to watch that, you know, she doesn't care. She'll never watch this with me.
You don't have to watch with her.
Exactly. I'm allowed to do a lot of stuff. She doesn't tell me what I can do.
Okay, man. No.
But yeah, man. I mean, this is like my cardigan, you know? Cozy season's back. So is Vox Machina.
Nice. Are you enjoying the season so far? I've only think I've watched 1 episode
so far. Another thing is I also like this because I can't be trusted to not watch every single episode in one sitting.
Yeah, it's completely fair.
They only do 3 at a time, right?
Right. Didn't
really care for the first 3. I thought it started kind of slow.
Okay.
But now that like things are going, like spoiler alert, they're in hell.
Why would you? I'm going to watch the show.
Okay, that's like not even a big spoiler. But yeah, no, I'm like really enjoying it now. It's picked up.
Nice, yeah. One of my favorite characters on that show is Scanlan. I love Scanlan. He's the bard. And
Good bard.
He's what's he got? He's got like one special move called Scanlan's hand, and like he goes Scanlan's hand, and like there's a big hand slap somebody.
It's
I
so
don't know.
good.
It's great.
Vox and Cardies, if we were doing titles.
What's that? Sorry.
Vox Machina, Vox and Cardies, if we were doing titles, like for a pod episode.
Okay.
No?
I was confused at first. I
That's
didn't know
okay.
what you're talking about.
It's a working title. Everything's a working title.
Yeah. So is the pod.
What have you been watching?
Well, most recently, and just this past weekend, I basically watched all of Stranger Things again in kind of one sitting.
Can I cut you off for a second? For listeners, so your partner was out of town, right?
Yeah.
And you hit me up like the morning that she was leaving.
Yeah.
And asked me for a list of movies that I recommend that you have not seen.
I did that.
I gave you like 12 movies.
You did.
You texted me back, wow, these are like really good suggestions, and then proceeded to not watch any of them and instead watch something you've already seen.
Well, I had started Stranger Things earlier in the week, and this happened because I was supposed to watch Sopranos. Like I told our friend that I'm going to watch it finally. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do Sopranos.
The best part about
I bounced off Sopranos immediately and started watching Stranger Things again.
How many episodes ago did you talk about watching Sopranos? And you still
that
haven't
was
done
like ages ago, and then like I was still trying to do it, and then I was like, I can't get into this show, and I just bounced right off of it. I'm like, you know what I can watch though? I could watch Stranger Things for the 4th or 5th time over.
Fair
enough. I watched like the first season throughout the week, and then this weekend was just, I had the blinds down, I was on the couch just eating snacks and just going through episode after episode of Stranger Things. And like, I don't know, you don't watch Stranger Things, do you?
No.
So the 4th season is basically every episode is kind of a movie.
Okay.
Like they're like, the first 4 episodes are like an hour 15, but then like the last 3 are like an hour and a half, hour 40, and then 2.5 hours long. Like these are long ass episodes, but I am there for every single minute of it.
That is wild to me.
It's a fantastic show, and I think honestly, it's probably my favorite series ever.
Wow.
Like that's like I've decided over. I cried twice.
You cried?
Yeah, it gets you.
I didn't know it was an emotional show.
Very emotional. If you ever find yourself with some time and you want to watch it, I think you should watch it. I know you tried Game of Thrones, but like I think you could get into this one more. I
don't know. And like I hate that we do a podcast now because now people learn my taste in movies and TV and how horrible it is, because instead of watching something like that, like my partner and I binged the entire Seth Cohen, Kristen Bell show.
How was that? Like that's on our list too, like to get to.
I really enjoyed it.
Okay, I've heard good things about it. Like I really want to get to it.
What's his name? Adam Brody, right?
Yeah.
Adam Brody's back, and he's been due.
That's fair. Yeah, because he went away. Where was he? What's he been doing?
I don't know, like indie stuff. Have you ever seen? He has a really good movie that came out a couple of years ago called The Kid Detective.
Oh, I've heard of this.
It's really good. Yeah.
I think I did watch it. Can't remember it though.
Would recommend that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of nice. It's also the timing's weird because, like, again, my partner and I were watching like the OC. We did a little OC rewatch a couple weeks ago. So yeah, strange timing. I had no idea this was coming out, but I did really enjoy it.
Yeah. Maybe the fact that we're doing Beetlejuice today spurred my Stranger Things because Winona Ryder's in both. So
that's true.
Get a little bit of that.
Funny how that works.
Yeah.
One more thing I did watch, because I took a little rip evening yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
My partner was like kind of working late, and I've been like so busy, man. I've been swamped. So I decided, fuck it. Like I'm not going to the gym. I'm not like leaving the house. I'm not one of those days where you just like don't go outside. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs one of those.
Yep. I had a whole weekend.
So I'm flipping through like, the 7 different like streaming platforms we have. And normally I land on something I've seen before because I'm that guy.
Right.
Not this time. Bad Boys Ride or Die.
Is that the latest?
It's the latest one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How was it?
I like really enjoyed it. It made me feel so old though, like seeing Martin Lawrence and Will Smith and how old they look now.
Right. Yeah.
Especially because I'm assuming like this is the last one. Like that's just the vibe it gave.
Yeah.
But they do so many callbacks. And my old ass is like, oh man, I remember that from like Bad Boys 2. And I'm like looking up Bad Boys 2 and it was like 20 years ago. And I'm like, oh fuck.
So I think Bad Boys 2 is the only one I've seen.
So this is my hot take. That is Michael Bay's best movie.
It's there. At one point, we might have talked about this already in an episode, but at the one point, like the very end of the movie when they're like just going down a hill in a Hummer or whatever and just crashing through that one village, like insanity.
So good. It's they're in Cuba. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Also remember Hummers?
Hey man.
Again, dating ourselves.
Yeah. I watched a couple other things too this past week or so, however long it's been since we last recorded. Constantine, one of my favorites.
Oh, that's a good one too.
You've seen Constantine?
I have. Well, I mean, I've saw it in theaters in like 2004.
Right. Yeah. For something about like wars between angels and demons as like a trope. I'm always gonna watch that kind of movie for some reason. I love it. Like, there's another one that came out with like Paul Bettany. It's called like Priest.
Okay.
It's like set in the future though, and he's like a priest, but he fights vampires. It's really fucked up. I love that kind of shit. Like, and Constantine's a great example of just like a really cool movie.
It's funny because like I can get into something like that. However, I was wondering the other day, like, why are they making movies about popes?
That's a good question.
It's like, okay, one is like, oh, okay, yeah, it's like kind of interesting, but
new
then
one
it's like
coming
there's
out,
another
right?
Pope movie coming out, and I'm just like, who is the audience for this?
Hey, the Catholics, right?
I mean, I gotta imagine they don't even care. It's just
they don't go to movies.
that's not true. You're gonna have to cut that.
Am I?
But imagine like, oh, sick, like a trailer's coming on before my YouTube video, you know, like one of the 17 ads I get, and it's like, oh my God, they're making another Pope movie? I can't believe it. They just made one like 3 years ago. Like, how lucky are we to have another Pope movie come out?
This one's like, who's in this one? Isn't there a big name? In it?
Fucking Ray Fiennes.
That's
Which
it. Yeah.
we get it. Ray Fiennes can play a Pope. Yes, he looks like he could play a Pope.
I thought he's already played the Pope before.
No, that was the other guy
Jude
did.
Law.
I think he was a Pope.
Yeah, the young Pope. He was in a show. It was like an HBO show.
Was it a show or was it a movie? Because
or was it the two popes? There was
Anthony Hopkins.
There was the young Pope. There was the two popes.
Anthony Hopkins, I think, was nominated or possibly won an Oscar for a Pope movie.
Yeah, the two popes.
The two popes.
Yeah. There's too many popes.
What's going on here?
And they all had different hats.
I'm just gonna say it. This is Rip's hot take. Best Pope scene out there is from Eurotrip.
Yeah. Absolutely. They've selected another Pope.
The white smoke. Yeah. I learned more about religion in that movie than I have in all of my Catholic school
too. Yeah, love that. And then the last thing I watched was we watched, my partner and I watched a movie called X, which is a horror movie. Have you heard of this?
Yes, I've heard of it, but it's funny because I ran into your partner at the gym the other day, and she was telling me all about it. But I'll pretend to not know anything about it for the sake of the pod.
I didn't. It was all right. It wasn't scary by any means. It was just gory. Like, it was just
like gore for the sake of gore.
Yeah, I guess so. It was also just fucking weird. It was just a weird, like, it's a weird movie. Like, it's set in the 70s, and they go to make an X-rated movie, and then like this old woman on a farm starts killing them all. It's really strange.
I'm not gonna watch that.
Yeah, it's whatever. I mean, if you have the time, don't watch it.
Cool.
Yeah, so I guess let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're talking Beetlejuice.
Ooh.
From the director of Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Adam and Barbara are
ghosts. What's the good of being a ghost if you can't frighten people away?
Their house is being haunted by the living.
Maybe the house could use a little remodeling.
And they can't scare them into leaving.
They're dead. It's a little late to be neurotic.
So they're calling on Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice!
Who's no ordinary ghost.
You don't want his help.
Can you be scary?
What do you think of this?
Now, the party's over.
You want somebody out of the house? I want to get somebody out of your house.
But the fun has just begun.
It's showtime.
And we're back. So today we are covering Beetlejuice. This is the first of our spooky bonus episodes. So let's just kind of dive into it. Before we get into anything at all, I just want to ask you off the top, Rip. What's your relationship with this movie? Have you seen it before? Any opening thoughts to kind of...
Opening thoughts. So this was the first time I saw the movie.
Right.
I feel like that's like something I should be embarrassed about. But also I feel like I'm at the age where, it just slipped by me, right? That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. I had never heard anything about what it's about. I just assumed that Michael Keaton was kind of like stealing the show the whole movie.
Yeah.
Not the case.
Not the case. Not enough Michael Keaton.
Not enough Michael Keaton. However, I mean, okay, here's my thing about Michael Keaton. Because at first, I'm checking my watch like he's not in the movie.
Yeah.
But then I feel like that plays to the benefit of the movie, right? Because the whole time I'm like, where's Michael Keaton? It's like, you know that Simpsons episode where Poochie is going to the fireworks factory and Milhouse is like, when are they going to get to the fireworks factory? Like, that was me with Michael Keaton.
But I feel like that's only the case because you've heard probably things about this movie over the years of Michael Keaton being batshit crazy in it.
Yeah, like, I mean, if it came out now, I guess that wouldn't really work for me, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, because I knew he was in it, and I expected big things from him. It did make me want more.
Right. Okay, so let's set this movie up. This is the story of a deceased couple, Barbara and Adam Maitland, whose old Victorian home is invaded by tasteless yuppies, Delia and Charles Dietz, and their goth teenage daughter, Lydia. So that's sort of the premise of this movie. It's released in 1988. Apparently, it's a monster hit back then. People loved it. It spawned a Saturday morning cartoon, which I was like vaguely familiar with. Like, I've
it rings
seen
a bell.
it. Action figures, which I'm pretty sure I had one as a kid. You know the scene where he comes out of the table and he's got the Ferris wheel shit on it. He's like a carnival character. I think I had that toy, and it was also turned into like a theme park attraction. So this thing was like, it was super popular when it came out. It was made with a $13 million budget, takes home $77 million. Like, that's nothing. Like, that's pretty big for a horror comedy. And it's directed by Tim Burton, who was only 29 when he made this movie, which is, like, to me, like, that's kind of crazy, like, wild. And like he had just come off of making Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Big Adventure.
And before that, he was an animator at Disney.
So, I didn't know he was an animator.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things I kind of learned about this movie as going through it. This movie was originally written by Michael McDowell, who he was a horror novelist, and he had some ideas, and then through people he got it in the hands of Tim Burton, all that sort of stuff happened, and then Larry Wilson has a writing credit on it, who also did Addams Family, and then Warren Scarron, who I learned about is basically like Hollywood's rewrite guy. Apparently he did like rewrites on Top Gun. He did rewrites on Michael Keaton's Batman movie. Like, he just came in and like did rewrites to save scripts, basically. Like, they had like they found the nugget and he just polished it up, kind of thing.
Is that an expression? Polished the nugget?
Yeah.
Nugget polisher. Sure. Okay.
And so the cast is Alec Baldwin, Gina Davis, Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara, Jeffrey Jones, and Glenn Shaddix, who plays Otho.
Oh, I like him.
Yeah. When I first saw this movie, like, my partner and I watched it together, and she's like, Alec Baldwin's in this? I'm like, yeah, I think he comes in later in the movie. I forgot Alec Baldwin was the main dude, Adam. Like when you watch it, like, he's a kind of unrecognizable to me, like, because he doesn't look like how I always remember Alec Baldwin.
So,
like,
this is funny because for once I actually watched this movie like in advance and not the day of. So I've been trying out my material. Right. I've been telling everybody Alec Baldwin is doing his best Rick Moranis impression.
That's like very spot on.
Yeah. No love for it at all. Everybody's like, I don't know who Rick Moranis is.
Well, those people are losers.
I gotta get better friends.
No, but I think he's really good in this movie. Like, as like the straightest straight man ever. Like, there's one part, we'll get to it, where he like. This is so the movie starts. I'll just kick us off in the rundown. The movie starts with the first sequence, which is basically we're meeting the Maitlands and we're meeting Adam and Barbara, and learning about their small town life in Vermont and all that stuff. And he's building a model, and he's got to run out to the store to get stuff. And then on their way back from the store, they crash off the bridge and die, basically. And then when they come back and they sort of start figuring out that they're ghosts, they have this handbook for the recently deceased. And Adam picks it up and he reads it. The handbook for the recently diseased. This guy's that much of a, like, what do you mean? He read the word deceased wrong? Like,
I like to think that the guy who rewrites stuff in Hollywood came in and was like, this is a good joke. You know what's funny? Diseased kind of sounds like deceased.
Yeah. So that's like kind of our start to the movie. We kind of get that whole introduction to the Maitlands. They die. They get home, or I forget. I watched this movie like 3 weeks ago, so I'm sort of stumbling over the plot points. But they kind of come back and they piece together that they're dead. They don't see the reflections in the mirror, all that sort of stuff. And then they try to leave the house. They're transported into the sand world, and then that's when the Dietz family starts moving in, and that's sort of what kicks off the whole problem of the movie, is that the Maitlands don't want to share their home with the Dietz family, and I wouldn't either, because they seem like the worst batch of people ever.
I mean, honestly, it's just kind of Catherine O'Hara, right? Like, it's funny because I didn't make a lot of notes for this, but one of them was like, I totally relate to the dad. Like,
Yeah.
poor guy just wants to like sit in his study and like bird. I don't want a bird, but like I get it. Like he just wants peace and quiet.
So the dad is played by Jeffrey Jones, who's also the principal in Ferris
Ferris Bueller,
Bueller.
yeah.
Like, and this guy, he does the best, like at the edge of losing his mind all the time. Like he's just about to blow a gasket, but he's keeping it together. Like he does that throughout the entirety of this movie, and he does it perfectly.
Yeah.
And then yeah, like you mentioned, Catherine O'Hara. I gotta imagine this is sort of the blueprint to Moira Rose, right?
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, 100%.
I love like they finally they get into the home and they're touring around and I think they go to the bathroom and she's got all these plans to remodel the house and while touring it she goes, "Oh look, an indoor outhouse."
That's him. That's the rewrite guy again.
Yeah, exactly. And then later, like there's so many funny things about her character. If you just watch her, like later on, they're having like their first family dinner in the home, and she's got a headband on. Except it's not a headband. It's just two fucking gloves tied together to be a headband. It's like she's the most eccentric character ever.
I love that.
So while all this is going on, Adam and Barbara, they consult their book for the recently deceased and then visit the DMV of the afterlife.
Yeah, this is good. And honestly, I think this is kind of what makes the movie is the practical effects here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I guess that's kind of like Tim Burton's like signature thing too, right?
Well, it's also the 80s.
It's also the 80s. Fair enough. I mean, there's some really bad like CGI in it, the sandworms, but that's we'll get to that. Yeah, to me this is like if you want to know what this movie's about, just watch like 30 seconds of them at this like DMV, right?
It's the best. Like they're in this like it's like I don't know, such a like I don't know, an analogy for life like you wait all life and then you die and now you have to wait more. Like,
yeah,
like that's like kind of the funny part, right? It's very satirical that way. But I love this part when they're in that sort of waiting room and they have all these different characters around and there's the one guy who's just, he's burnt to a crisp.
Yeah.
He's burnt to a crisp and he's smoking a cigarette and he turns to Adam and goes, "Want a cigarette?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "No." He's like, "Yeah, trying to cut down myself." I love that sort of dry humor throughout this movie. So yeah, they kind of go through this whole DMV of the afterlife. They meet their caseworker Juno, who, side note, I want to mention Juno is who I picture in my head when you do your agent voice.
That's pretty good, actually. Yeah, now that you mention it.
Yeah, so they return home. Juno's with them, and they start asking about Beetlejuice because they've seen like an ad for him in the book, and she urges them beyond. Don't engage Beetlejuice to help you with your problem. She suggests to scare the Dietzes out of the home themselves. So they start to get up to the ghostly hijinks. Anything in these sequences standing out to you?
I mean, this is where they throw the sheets on, right?
Yeah, classic.
Yeah, that would terrify me. I feel like leaning into like, yeah, because I mean, you don't have to go scary to be scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like so unusual and so like on the nose that I'd be like, there's no way that these aren't ghosts. That's fucking terrifying.
The best part though is that like the whole family like thinks it's someone else in the family. Like the dad thinks it's Lydia, and then Lydia thinks it's her parents, and like the scaring's not working.
See, like that would not even cross my mind. Like if I saw a ghost, like, you know, hovering around my house in a bedsheet, I wouldn't be like, "Oh, that's my partner." I'd be like, oh, "Fuck, we have ghosts. Like, we're moving.
We gotta get out of here." See, this is where I think the movie could have had a whole lot more fun. Like these moments, like you said, like this is the part, like these scares. Like, what more could they have done? Like, I feel like there was so much more room to play here with that sort of stuff, but they kind of put a cap on it really quickly.
Well, I mean, we can talk about Winona Ryder here as well. What the fuck is wrong with kids in these movies? Like kids in the movies in the 80s and 90s, like how adventurous are you? There's no need for this.
Like, what do you mean?
Like she's like, I gotta know what's in this attic. Like fucking obviously don't go in the attic. Like shit, freaky shit's up there.
Yeah, that's like the classic thing. It's just like it's the whole kid curiosity, right?
Even like, you know, another older movie like Stand By Me. It's like, isn't the whole movie about like going to go find a dead body and poke it? I don't want to fucking do that.
I mean, you don't.
No.
It is strange. Like, you just leave it alone. Just if it's locked, it's locked.
Like I mean, I think this is like the same years where like kids like swung on tire swings, right? Like just fucking swing on a tire swing.
Yeah,
go chase that stick down the chase the hoop down the street with your stick.
It's those damn kids in Stranger Things. Don't.
Yeah, ride your bikes.
Leave the upside down alone. Just ride your bikes.
You don't have to ride your bike to a dead body to poke it. Just like Winona Ryder, like you don't have to know what freaky shit's going on in the attic.
Yeah. So this stuff leads into our sort of first introductions of Beetlejuice. This is like the sequence I'm calling Enter Beetlejuice. And so basically after their own failed attempts, they see that ad on TV where Beetlejuice is like, he's the old car salesman. He's going to do anything he can to get you to use his services. And this is our first introduction of Michael Keaton as the main as the title character, Beetlejuice. Like, what'd you think?
This was my favorite part of the whole movie, actually. Like Cowboy Beetlejuice.
Yeah, Cowboy.
Yeah, it's perfect. Perfect. This whole thing, like, anytime Michael Keaton is on screen, I just assume it's improvised. Like, how could you sit down and write any of this?
So when I was doing some research for the movie, I found a great article by The Ringer, and it was like a whole oral history, and they were saying like a lot of Michael Keaton's lines are ad-libbed. Like,
yeah, see, like it
like
has
Tim
to
Burton's
be.
like, here, this is what we want you to do, go for it, and it's got that like. Michael Keaton's a crazy guy. Like, Michael Keaton is crazy in this movie. He's absolutely unhinged. And the character he's playing is also just like, I don't know, he's a horn dog, perverted old, like, bio-exorcist. That's what he is.
Yeah, like it's super offside now, but I have to imagine back in the day, like, people lost their shit at this, right?
Yeah. Also, I love that word, bio-exorcist. I think that's like a really funny like term for him. Like, he's a professional, he's a freelance bio-exorcist, which I find to be hilarious. But yeah, at this point, we're like 40 minutes into the movie and just meeting Beetlejuice for the first time.
Right?
It's like, this is your guy. Like, he should have been on screen from like minute 20 and it should have just been craziness from there.
I mean, I don't know, in hindsight, like, I kind of like that he just kind of appears like sporadically and he isn't in the movie. Because, I mean, it's really not about him, right? Like, it's about Alec Baldwin and...
Yeah, it's about Barbara and Adam and their journey through the afterlife and all that sort of stuff.
And what I really like about this is, like, yeah, they just made a sequel that's, I think, currently out right now, right?
Yeah.
Had this movie, the first one, just come out, 1,000%, like, and you listed a lot of stuff, you know, the shows and like the McDonald's figurines, for example, of Beetlejuice. Yeah. If this just came out now, the entire movie would be about Beetlejuice, right?
Right, yeah.
Because he's so, like, I guess, I don't know, is he marketable to kids? Like,
apparently that's what because that's what they got, the Saturday morning cartoon, right?
Yeah.
So, and that was a kids show. So apparently the kids really loved Beetlejuice.
Yeah. So
it's one of those things where they had no idea what he was saying. They just loved how loud and crazy and boisterous his movements were, and
that
he was
makes
just
sense.
insane.
Yeah, I guess it's pretty in line with, like, I mean, a semi theme of this movie, like capitalism, like how, which I honestly found aged the best is, you know, a bunch of rich elites absolutely would try to capitalize and like make money off of
into
this.
A theme park. So yeah, so our first introduction of Beetlejuice has Barbara and Adam. They say his name 3 times and they get transported into the model, and this is where they have to dig him out of the graveyard, which I kind of love all of this stuff. Like
it's a good
the way
sequence,
they make the model look like life scale and all that stuff, and digging him up and all that. And then when they I love when they get him out of the ground and he's selling them, right? He's doing his pitch, and then he changes his clothes to match Adam. He's like, hey, look, we even shop at the same floor.
That's good.
Like all those like lines like that, like so great. And then I think Adam asks him what his qualifications are, and he just gets like really serious for a moment. He's like, well, I attended Juilliard. I'm a graduate of Harvard Business School. And he just goes on like all these he's like, I travel quite extensively, lived through the Black Plague, and seen Exorcist 167 times. And then he goes crazy. He's like, and it keeps getting funnier.
The Juilliard is a good bit. That's a good line.
Any other moments from like this sort of in the model world?
Is it here when he kicks the tree? The tree falls over and he's just like, nice fucking model.
Yeah. Because they decide to leave him, and he's like, nice fucking model, you losers.
I think so. I'm pretty sure that was actually ad-libbed, and the whole tree falling over too as well.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like,
I
think
that.
he kicked it too hard, it fell over, and he's just like, nice fucking model you got here.
Yeah. What's he says? Yeah, because they go like he turns his back, and Barbara decides like we're out, and she goes home, and they get transported out of the bottle, and he's like, hey, come on, where'd you go, you bunch of losers? Nice fucking model. So good. But after coming out of the model, this is where they sort of have their first idea of how to scare the Dietzes out of the home, and it's the the dinner scene where they possess them. So let's talk about this. What'd you think?
I mean, I don't even know where to start because I had no idea what was going on. I thought
kind of wild.
I thought it was Beetlejuice at first because they just kind of went from like, you know, 0 to 100 here in terms of like scarability.
Yeah, like they could barely be seen before, and like they had no technique. Like they only Lydia could see them, but now they're making the entire Dietz family plus their dinner guests lip sync to Deo by Harry Belafonte. I don't know if that's the right name.
So it's funny that we're talking about this specific part. You said you had seen Beetlejuice before?
Yes.
Did you remember this part?
Oh yeah, this is like the most memorable part of the movie.
This is funny because to me, like, I had no idea this was a thing, and I hadn't seen the movie until when I watched it for this episode. But it's kind of cool that this was like sneaky under the radar for me. Like, this wasn't spoiled for me.
Yeah,
I had
true.
no
That's
idea this was coming, and I mean, objectively, this is probably the funniest part of the movie, right?
Yeah, I think so. This is what the movie's remembered for. So did you yourself enjoy this scene though? Like, what were you feeling about it?
It's funny because I mean, yeah, I guess, like, as much as again, it's dated, but yeah, I enjoyed it. But part of me couldn't help but think, like, what song and dance do you think this would be now?
True. Yeah, that's a good idea. I wonder what it would be. Did you have any suggestions?
I mean, like, coming out in 2024, like, what are
it's a Sapsy song.
WAP?
Yeah. There's probably some Taylor Swift or Sabrina Carpenter.
Actually,
or
I love that. Imagine you put like Jack Black in this role, and he's just doing it at the
Jack
table.
Black as Beetlejuice would be hilarious.
Because he has that. What is it, the reel of him doing the WAP dance? Have you seen this?
I think so. Yeah. I know.
Like, I think you would absolutely crush this.
Another thing that this scene sort of makes me question is, it doesn't make me, but it makes you realize who the Maitlands are. They're nice people. They have no idea how to scare somebody. Like, their idea of getting rid of people in their home is to put on this really funny song and dance.
Like, see, we're completely different people, because I probably would have died of a heart attack from, like, being so scared of this.
I think one of the dinner guests says it best. Like, he, after the whole scene ends, he like sort of gets up and he goes, "If you insist on frightening people, do it with your sculptures," which I think is like, wow, yeah, go get it. Like, those sculptures do suck.
Got him so good. No, this is just like, it's wild to me. I would never go to this like haunted museum. There's no chance you would get me here.
Well, yeah. Again, you're not the target audience for the Beetlejuice Haunted Museum.
Like those haunted ghost walks and, you know, sleepy towns. Fuck no.
Do you remember when we were kids? We went to the what are they? The haunted houses.
Yeah.
In the falls. You remember? You were the one that wanted to do that
yeah,
shit.
Okay, that's
but
different.
Now you
though.
don't
That's fun. Well, because I know that those are just like teenagers in masks, right?
Man, that haunted house scared the shit out of me. I had nightmares for weeks.
That doesn't bother me. Like, go to Niagara Falls, you know, walk up and down Clifton Hill, any of those like haunted houses, like, I'd fuck with that. I can take your shit. But like, sorry, you possess me and make me sing a song and dance, like, I'm the fuck out of that house.
Yeah. So the plan to scare the Dietzes off fails spectacularly, and the Dietz now rush upstairs and they find the model home. And Beetlejuice, now being sort of free from the model home graveyard, he starts to terrorize the Dietzes, but Barbara comes in and saves the day. He turns into a banister snake. That thing was crazy.
Banister snake.
I think I saw this movie as a kid, and like, that kind of fucked me up for a couple days. For anytime I was walking down the stairs, I was like, well, what if it turns into a Beetlejuice snake? So yeah, after the sequence, we kind of get the whole kerfuffle where Juno summons the Maitlands back to the afterlife DMV, and she's sort of telling them, like, you can't use Beetlejuice, don't free him. And the whole time there's this football team there, and they keep calling her coach.
This is a good bit.
Did you like that?
I did, yeah. That's a good bit for sure.
And then at the same time, this is where Lydia finds Beetlejuice and almost releases him. Like, this is she doesn't want, she catches on to his tricks, right? The Dietz are now kind of going through their plan of capitalism to turn the home into a whole theme park. He's bringing in their investors, Maxie or whoever it was. Otho helps develop this plan to capture the ghosts. Obviously, when they do it, he fucks it up and starts an exorcism instead.
Can we just pause and talk about this book for a second? Because, I mean, a major plot point is him stealing the book, right? Otho?
Yeah.
How is it everybody has read this book other than Alec Baldwin and his wife?
He read as far
he got
enough
like
to
what,
know
like,
about the door.
Yeah.
To draw a chalk door and a doorknob.
Meanwhile, like, Winona Ryder like finished the book in like an hour.
Yeah, and she's good. She knows everything about the afterlife.
Otho apparently like read enough to perform an exorcist.
I don't think he was meaning to perform an exorcism. He was trying to bring them out, but then accidentally he was performing the exorcism.
I mean, I have to imagine that exorcism is a deeper chapter than, you know, chalk door.
Why would exorcism be in that book for the recently deceased? deceased. See, I keep saying diseased almost.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're so similar sounding.
But seriously though, like you're a ghost. Why would you need to know how to do an exorcism?
I don't know. Maybe it's just like in the back of the book is like a fun like note, like, hey,
In case you were wondering,
this is how you perform an exorcist.
So after Otho steals the book and they sort of develop this plan, Lydia then does go to Beetlejuice for help. But there's just one catch. She has to marry him.
I didn't understand this. Did I miss something?
So
why did he have to be married?
I think there's like it's one of those ideas where like he's bound by something and the only way to get out of it is through marriage or something like that.
Was this like stated in the movie? Did I miss this?
He says something along the lines of like, oh, to be completely free, I got to get married. Like there's just one hitch. I got to get married. That's the way he says it.
You do a pretty good Keaton impression.
I've been working on it. So yeah, this is also where he's kind of trying to get Lydia to say his name, but
yeah.
He's like, I can't just tell you it because if I tell you it, you're going to tell all your friends and I can come down to the mall for mall signings and autographs. And I don't have time for that. And and then she's like, okay, well, so what is it? And they start doing the charades, right? And you just look over in the corner, there's a beetle sitting in a chair.
I love this so much. And again, like Family Guy does a really good bit of this too, where Peter's got to lie about his name and he's looking around the room and a griffin just flies by. He's like,
it reminded me of that bit so much. Tier Griffin. So yeah, this sequence leads right into sort of our grand finale of the whole movie, which is the wedding, right? So Beetlejuice, he comes out of the table and he turns into this carnival game, and he's kind of doing like a 15-minute stand-up act here. He's like, step right up, who's the strongest? And he takes care of the investors. They shoot them through the roof. Then he stands up and he's like, that's why I only do one show a night. I don't do 2 shows a night anymore.
We're just letting him cook,
Yeah, he's just going off, and then Otho's trying to escape. Beetlejuice jumping on his back, just cackling. Like it's 10 minutes of like absolute insanity.
It's funny because I didn't realize like this was the ending of the movie either. So it ended very abruptly for me.
Yeah, this movie's really quick. It's like it's very fast. It's I think an hour 40 runtime or something like that.
Yeah, I mean you're in and out, but I mean I guess like that's kind of good. Like he's limited in the beginning, but we get a lot of him at the end.
Yeah,
and maybe that's why it kind of caught me off guard. And I guess I wasn't expecting so much of him, and then it's just end.
Yeah. So Beetlejuice frees the Maitlands. At this point, they're kind of like decaying, and honestly, this is probably one of the scariest images of this whole movie.
I did like this.
Like they look scary.
Yeah,
like, they're being exercised, and their skin's all shriveled up, and they're like decaying again somehow because they're already dead. Like if you think too hard about it, the movie falls apart.
It does. The plot makes absolutely no sense, but like you just gotta love it because it's original and it's like it's a breath of fresh air, right?
Completely original, just zany.
World building is enough to like immerse you that you just kind of like look past the plot holes and inexplicable like twists.
Oh yeah, and apparently like there's a line in this movie, but you know that sand world they go to?
Yeah.
Apparently that's like a planet. Apparently that's like Mars or something. Like
Saturn.
Saturn, that's it. Yeah, there's like some. Why are ghosts getting transported to Saturn?
I don't know.
So ridiculous. So the Maitlands kind of recover, and they're attempting to banish Beetlejuice, but he does all these things to stop them. Like he makes Adam's teeth fall out. He puts a metal grate over Barbara's mouth. Eventually, he just banishes Adam all entirely to the model, and he gets into the car. He's driving it. And then basically what happens is there's the wedding. We have that weird little goblin guy come in who's the father. He's going to preside over this weird unnatural wedding.
Oh, geez, look out. They might make a movie about him. Goblin Pope.
Did they?
Okay, Goblin Pope sounds kind of sick.
You just got me thinking about Goblin Pope. I'm like, what that's going to be. I'm completely off the rails now.
In a world where goblins are popes.
So there's another funny bit in here where the Goblin Pope asks Beetlejuice for the ring, and he sort of loses his mind. Oh, the ring, I forgot about it. And he pulls out a severed finger from his pocket and takes the ring. And as a kid, I didn't realize that was a severed finger. I just thought it was some weird thing that he pulled out of his pocket that held the ring.
Sure.
I don't know why I was watching this movie as a kid. So basically, before the wedding can be finalized, Barbara rides in on one of the sandworms. Sandworm basically eats Beetlejuice and sends him away. The day is saved. And we flash forward to see the Maitlands and the Dietzes living harmoniously together in the same home.
Again, like, what?
Right?
I was so confused.
Also, like, they're just cool being confined to the attic now.
At first, we didn't see like Catherine O'Hara or Principal Ferris Bueller. And I was like, did they just adopt Winona Ryder. Like, what is happening?
So apparently the original version of the script had Lydia dying horrifically, and then the Maitlands taking care of her in the afterlife.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's how the movie's originally supposed to.
Honestly, that would make more sense than what we got.
Yeah, well, because Lydia does really good in school, so she comes home, aces whatever test she had to ace that day, and the Maitlands reward her with her very own lip-syncing possession rendition of another song that I've not heard before.
Dude, what a fucking disturbed little girl.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's at one point she's writing that note, the suicide note, and it's just like
it
very
got
dark.
So dark,
Yeah.
so fast.
Yeah, very big turn. After this, we get probably my second favorite moment of the entire movie, and it's where we go back to the DMV of the afterlife, and Beetlejuice is waiting in line, and he's sitting next to the guy who shrinks heads, and he's got his number, and his number is what, like 9,400,000,000.
Yeah.
It's like stupid long. He's got basically a scroll in his hand. He looks over, and Buddy's got number 4, and they're serving 3 now. So he steals the number, and he turns to the guy beside him and was like, I'm doing a photo shoot with GQ in 30 minutes. They've been after me for months. And then the guy proceeds to shrink his head, and that's the end of the movie. That's it.
Did you see the movie poster for Beetlejuice 2?
I have. I can't remember.
So I thought it was like so clever how they did the date on the movie poster. It was the his number. And they they just put like, I don't know when it came out, like 0901, like
right,
24,
gotcha.
right?
That's pretty cool. I like that. I wonder how they circumvented the head shrinking. Like, how did he get his head back to normal size? That's what I'm curious to know. That's like literally the only question I have for Beetlejuice 2.
Are you going to see the second one?
I'd like to check it out once I think it's going to be on streaming soon.
It's a shame. I feel like we missed the brief period of like fall that we do get, because this would be such a good drive-in movie.
Yeah. Paired up with whatever else is out. I was looking at this today. There's like not much out between now and the end of the year.
Well,
There's like
we're
Gladiator
approaching
2.
Oscar season, right?
I didn't even see a whole lot of like Oscar bait movies. I don't know. That's a different topic. Let's just talk about some top scenes from Beetlejuice real quick. I have 3 that I wrote down. These are they might be similar to yours, but for me, one of the first ones that I really like is when you first meet Beetlejuice and he's like selling them, and the whole we even shop at the same store. Like just the way he's like, come on.
Yeah, that's pretty good. He expects a laugh. You know, he's a comedian.
Yeah. How about you? Any?
Again, I don't know how this movie is PG-13, but the whole whorehouse, like
the brothel.
The brothel, hilarious. Like, how is this making it into a PG-13
his little
movie?
dance that he's doing on his way over there too.
He's so excited, and then you think like, oh, okay, maybe it's just a one-off, and it's like, no, we're gonna come back and we're gonna like reference it because, what's her face? Juno is like, oh yeah, the brothel was my idea. You're like, oh, so we're acknowledging this.
Yes.
This is a real plot point.
Absolutely. Next up for me is the dinner lip sync. Just a really fun sequence, I think. Is it funny? I don't know. It's weird as fuck. I mean, but I enjoy it.
People clearly like it. It's, like you said, one of the most referenced, I guess, pieces of this movie, right?
Yeah. How about you? Any others?
I mean, honestly, like we just kind of covered them as we went along. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of juice whenever he's on screen. Like, what else can I say? You know,
it's true. You do love when someone's got juice, right? So
is that what I'm known for?
Yeah, you keep saying it. My last one is it's got to be the stealing the guy's number at the very end and getting his head shrunk. Like that's also like it's dinner lip sync is like most memorable. Second most is Beetlejuice with shrunken head. Like that's
a good one. And honestly, it's like a good send off for him too, right?
Right, exactly. And then obviously most valuable comedian is Keaton, but I think there might be a case for Catherine O'Hara just as how
she's really good in this. And like you said, like, this probably is the blueprint to her Moira Rose character, right?
It's the same. They're the same person.
Yeah.
Like the accent's a bit different, but like the energy's the same.
For sure.
And then I have a couple of head-to-heads for you. We don't have to go through all of them because I was just trying to find some comedies that are also horror-themed.
Sure.
Without giving away our next spooky bonus episode. I don't know if you've seen these, but Shaun of the Dead?
Shaun of the Dead I've seen. This isn't better than... actually, is it? I don't know. I have a weird relationship with Shaun of the Dead because people on the internet like it so much, it just makes me not want to like it.
That's like one of your worst qualities.
It is it's like 100%
like
one of my worst qualities.
Like things, you're like, nah.
I will 1,000% admit that. And up until I realized how much the internet liked it, I thought it was like pretty funny. Like I like what's his name? Simon Pegg.
Yeah.
Love him. What's the other one he's in? At World's End.
Yeah, Hot
and
Fuzz.
then Hot Fuzz. Yeah. I like those movies. But my thing is like, I like them as like a 7 out of 10. You know, they're not like the 12 out of 10 that the internet wants me to think they are.
That's fair. I can agree that the internet kind of overrates them, but I enjoy Shaun of the Dead. I think in terms of funniness, I think Shaun of the Dead might be funnier.
Yeah.
I think there's more like actual like classic joke, classic bits.
For
like,
sure. For me, for rewatchability, like I think it would be Beetlejuice because I could see this being like a Halloween like annual thing I do now, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Shaun of the Dead, like I don't know the next time I'm going to pick it up, and it's solely because like the internet has spoiled it for me.
That's fair. That's fair. The next one, I know you haven't seen this because it was on your list of movies you recommended to me, but Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yeah,
I think you should really watch that.
Yeah, it's actually streaming now.
Yeah, it's a really fun movie. Really
Nice.
fun movie. What We Do in the Shadows? You're on What We Do in the Shadows?
same thing.
Is it the same like internet kind of?
A little bit, but like also when I watched it, maybe because the internet was all about it, like my expectations
also
were
just,
not
like-
met.
You're also just anti Taika Waititi, probably, aren't you? Because you think he gets too much hype.
I'm not. Like I mean, I was all about him. I thought Ragnarok was like really good,
Yeah.
and then what's it called? The one he did after
Love and Thunder.
I thought that was awful.
There's one really funny bit in Love and Thunder that
And then
love.
what's the other one? What's the movie he just came out with? Next Goal Wins, which I thought was like pretty whelming.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Anyway, What We Do in the Shadows. I like it for its like creativity and it's like different.
Hmm.
Again, like in terms of rewatchability, at least like I can see myself watching Beetlejuice more than that movie.
Fair enough. Yeah. Ghostbusters.
I've never seen the first Ghostbusters.
Okay, Ghostbusters 2.
I don't want to admit that I've seen the sequels because I haven't seen the original, and I know that people are going to shit on me for it.
Oh,
But
it's fine.
no, I think I'd take Beetlejuice over the sequels anyway. Ghostbusters, I really do need to watch.
Yeah, yeah. And then these last two are just because I was like looking for movies in the 80s that were also comedies. The Naked Gun. Have you seen that?
I have seen The Naked Gun.
I haven't
Yeah,
seen it, so
I really like The Naked Gun.
is it better than Beetlejuice?
Leslie Nielsen, yeah, I would take that over those.
Nice. And this last one is really just like when I saw it on the list of movies that came out in the same year as Beetlejuice, it just made me really laugh. Mac and Me. You know Mac and Me, the movie that Paul Rudd punks Conan with every
I do
time?
know Mac and Me. Yeah, no, I've never seen
I've never
it.
seen it, but
But that movie is infinitely funnier than this just because of that scene,
one scene,
and
that
the
one
gag
scene.
that Paul Rudd does with Conan.
Yeah.
Anyway, since we're kind of wrapping up, I wanted to ask you, relationship between Burton and Keaton.
between who? Sorry.
Like Tim Burton and Michael Keaton, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
like, I mean, they knock it out of the park in this,
Yeah.
right? I'm assuming like Tim Burton, like you said, just lets Keaton cook this whole movie. So my hypothetical for you is, can you imagine that we got this duo instead of Tim Burton and Johnny Depp?
For
Like life? Like I'm gonna run down some. I got 5 movies here that Burton and Depp have done.
Okay.
And I want
Hit
you
me.
to give me your thoughts on
Oh,
if
what-
it was Keaton instead of Depp in them.
Ooh, I like this. This is a fun game.
Okay. So number 1, Edward Scissorhands. Have you seen this?
I have seen Edward Scissorhands,
Okay.
but I've also never seen. I don't know what Michael Keaton was like when he was really young. I have no idea. So
Can you imagine him?
I'll stick with Depp.
I just imagine Gene from the other guys cutting hair instead of working at Bed Bath & Beyond.
The problem is though, like Edward Scissorhands doesn't say anything. It's a completely almost silent
I've never
role,
seen it.
Right? Oh, you've never seen it?
The most I know about Edward Scissorhands is the glimpse we get from that Seinfeld episode.
Okay, yeah, fair. I do want to just call out some internet troll real quick because I saw a meme about this and it was like, "Excuse me, but these are not scissors." As his hands, like these are
like
these are
hedges.
knives, and it's like, no, they are scissors. They're just scissors taken apart and made into hands. Like, stop being an ass.
That's,
Like,
I think he's kind of got a point. Or she. Trolls can be she's. Number 2, Sweeney Todd, like, again with the scissors.
I think Depp's better in that one. I think. I don't know. I can't imagine. I've never actually seen Sweeney Todd though. So who am I to say?
So I mean, the nice thing about this exercise is that like, objectively, are these good movies? It doesn't matter. You get a completely different vibe.
The problem is for me, it's like it's so hard to picture anyone else in these roles because Johnny Depp, I don't know, he's just so synonymous with these roles. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
No,
really,
totally fair. But then part of me is like, well, if
But
Beetlejuice came out
but
today, like, would
maybe.
Keaton even be in this, or would
Yeah.
it be Depp? Right? Like,
Yeah.
would he just go to Depp? Because Depp as Beetlejuice seems right.
No,
And
I wouldn't do it.
No,
No,
hang on. Let me finish my thought. It seems right in that, like, oh, Tim Burton's doing a movie. Who's playing the main, like, ghoulish character, Johnny Depp?
Right.
Even though, like, no, he would make a horrible Beetlejuice compared to Michael Keaton, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So I think when you come in with that mindset, you know, so the next one is Alice in Wonderland. I think you get something like akin to Beetlejuice, where that whole Wonderland is just fucked up.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
So to me, the closest Depp ever gets to being a Beetlejuice is in Jack Sparrow, I would say. Like that aloof craziness is like, that's the DNA. It just needs to be turned up to like 1,000.
No, for sure. And like, it's not on the list because it's not Tim Burton.
No, obviously,
right?
that's where
I see exactly what you're saying. Interestingly enough, the next one is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which so other actors have done, right?
Yeah, Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder, and then what's his face? Chalamet.
Oh yeah, that's right. I haven't seen that
So
one.
it's like three completely different Wonkas, right?
I think Keaton would be
I think
a great
Keaton would
Wonka.
too. Me too, right?
I think
Like,
he would be a better Wonka than Depp.
I think so.
I
hated Depp's Wonka.
I don't even think I've seen Depp's Wonka, to be honest. I've only seen the original.
It's really creepy, but like not fun creepy, just creepy. Whereas I feel like Keaton, I'm just picturing like an R-rated like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory
With Keaton just going off the rails.
with Keaton going off the rails.
It's funny because is there only other team up movie Batman then, or with?
So yeah, so
Keaton and
I
Burton?
mean, we'll skip this last one because I actually haven't seen it, which was Sleepy Hollow. I know you,
Oh, I
you
love
recently
Sleepy
watched
Hollow.
that. So could
Nah,
Keaton do
it's
that?
not it. Nah, you don't. You need the darkness of Depp in that one.
Okay,
Depp has that
again,
sort of like.
Keaton can be dark. Like, have you seen Birdman? You know, like he's kind of a little fucking
Yeah,
twisted
but
in
that's
that.
like not the darkness. I mean, like he doesn't like what's he called? He says Lydia's Edgar Allan Poe's daughter, but that's the energy you need. You need Edgar Allan Poe energy for Sleepy Hollow.
I think Keaton could bring it. See, Keaton's also one of two guys who I think has like a really, a really dark grin. Like when he wants to turn it on, he can do it. The other one
Right.
being Willem Dafoe.
Yeah,
I think he could do. What's his name? Ichabod Crane.
yeah, Ichabod. I don't know. There's just something about Depp's like his whole aura in that movie is just like it's I don't know.
Okay,
It's hard to describe.
Let me flip this then the other way. Depp as Batman.
No. I would never do a Depp as Batman. That just doesn't work for me.
I think you get something closer to like what's his name? Robert Pattinson's Batman, you know? Like a little like moody.
I'm trying to think of there's a movie with Depp in it where he's very close to like a Bruce Wayne type, but I can't remember it. But yeah, I can see that. He's that moody Here's another one for you. After seeing Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice, do you think he could have done Joker?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think so.
I think he could have. I think like after Beetlejuice, like how does he not get cast as Joker and gets cast as Batman instead?
Yeah, that
You know what I mean?
That's a really
Like,
good point.
But then also you get Jack Nicholson,
Yeah.
who's fucking also fantastic.
Yeah, all time. Interesting. No, that's a really good point. And I mean, especially now that like Joker's like back in the spotlight again. I don't really care for like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. I
Yeah,
get
not
it.
for
It's
me.
like very Oscar bait, and not really my kind of vibe. Then who else was it? Like Jared Leto. Like, yeah, fucking give the keys to Keaton. I bet he would knock it out of the park.
I'm just now picturing like a very old Keaton. Like that. Like what a weird multiverse.
But I think his version I think would be similar to Heath Ledger's, where like Heath Ledger's he's not over the top per se in like what he says, or I guess maybe his actions are, but you know how he just kind of like drops these like these quips, right?
Yeah.
And if you do your Michael Keaton voice, you know, I think you could hear him if you said something like that.
Yeah. Because what's like you almost get a version of it in Batman itself. He goes, he's like, "What, you want to get nuts? Okay, let's get nuts. Like,
Yeah, like
that's Joker right there.
And I could hear him saying that.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that.
Alrighty, I think that wraps us up for today's bonus spooky episode. Rip, anything else to cover?
No, I'm kind of looking forward to the next one we do, though. I think it's going to be a good head-to-head showdown between Beetlejuice and drumroll. I'm thinking Scary Movie.
Ooh, what a great pick! I'm in for Scary Movie.
All right.
Okay, well, this is the first episode of our spooky bonuses, and the second one will be probably out. I guess like if you're listening to this one on release day tomorrow, the next day after this one comes out, it'll be out soon. Alrighty.